Hey, everybody, this is Patti. Welcome to the witching hour. Yes, the hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. We have some very special magic for you today. He is an author, he's a clairvoyant, he's a paranormal investigator, and he's a dear friend, Sam Baltrusis. Welcome back to the show, Sam. Thank you.
Hey, Patty, it's so great to be back.
It is so good. We actually just got to see each other at Hanover Tavern, the Paracon there, which was nice because it had been a little while. So I'm sure everybody knows you, but for those who don't, uh you are a prolific writer, written all sorts of wonderful things. You specialize in historical locations and ghost stories in your extensive work and done all sorts of fun things with television and everything else. So how did you get into this paranormal weird field of ours?
It kind of fell into my lap. I mean, it was definitely, so I was a journalist for 20 years. And then I started writing the paranormal themed articles for the local magazine called Stuff Magazine. Um, that turned into my first book in 2012, Ghost of Boston. And that kind of that was the beginning of my writing career. So I've written 18 paranormal themed books, including my most recent book, Ghosts, the Sleepy Hollow Haunts of the Headless Horseman. So it's always been a passion of mine, but when it came to my abilities and being a clairvoyant, that's something that's always terrified me. It was something that I've had since I was a kid. And I used it as a journalist, but I just didn't want to accept that I had the gifts, and I kind of ignore them, but they kind of force their way for me to use them.
It will do that. So what changed? Just were you so bombarded by spirit? What made you go, "Okay, I give in?"
Yeah, I kinda gave in, yeah, like, so for when I was a kid, I had visitations as a child, and I had something that happened, when I was around, like, I think 9 or 10, that really terrified me. So my grandfather would visit me when I was a child, sit in the corner of my bed, we would have conversations, and my mom would be like, "Sam, who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Granddaddy." And I was having conversations with my grandfather, but I had an experience that happens, um after that, where this man wearing a hat and red glowing eyes would kind of like look through the window, and that terrified me. So I went about 20 years with paranormal blinders on uh, after that experience because it was so scary. And things still happens. I remember like I lived in New York City. I worked for I was a TV producer at the time, and walking through Washington Square Park and feeling something grabbed my leg while I was walking by Washington Square Park. And I thought maybe someone was playing a trick on me, but it actually it was a mass burial site for people that died from tuberculosis. So things like that would happen along the way, and I just accepted it after fighting it for many years.
It's amazing. And so do you think that was the infamous Half Man that you saw with the red glowing eyes?
That's been an ongoing debate. Was it the hot man or was it a man with a hat? I personally thought it was a man with a hat. And I also around this time, I found that I was related to Lizzie Borden was one of them, which was shocking, but also the Putnam family, who were major accusers during the Salem witch trials. And so part of me feels like it's almost tied to like a family curse of some sort or a family harbinger. Uh, I will say when I had that connection later on when I was in Salem, I remember looking in the window and and it was almost like I was connected. I was kind of telepathically connecting to this man with a hat. And he's like, "Can you see me?" And I'm like, "Yes, I can see you." So a part of me feels like that it was a family member. And I will say this, he does show up right before uh, something that's about to happen, whether it's I had a fire last year that destroyed my apartment. And I'm actually in a similar apartment, but not the same one I was last year. But he kind of came out of my wall, and I'm like, get back, get back!" And I guess to warn me that something was about to happen. So I learned that not to be afraid of him. He's almost like my personal harbinger.
Yeah, maybe he's some kind of a guardian in the hat. That's pretty cool. So going back to Salem, you've written a couple books about Salem, haven't you?
I have, yeah. My bestseller is called Ghost of Salem, Haunts of the Witch City, and that's what really put me, out there when it came to writing about the paranormal. And when I write my books, I immerse myself at the location. So in Salem, to be honest with you, I didn't really want to write the Salem book because I felt like it was overdone. And my publisher was like, "Hey, can you write a book on Salem about the ghosts?" And actually, looking at the research, there was a lot written about the Salem witch trials, but not necessarily about its paranormal. It's like the activity there, the ghosts. So I started immersing myself at the location. I was a tour guide. I was all sorts of things in Salem to kind of prepare myself for writing the book. And my book goes to Salem, still is my bestseller after all these years. And that was in 2013. I written my second book called Wicked Salem, and I'm currently working on a third book on Salem Village, which is the area that was outside of Salem in 1692, which is modern day Danvers, Peabody, and Topsfield.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, but interest in Salem isn't gonna go away ever, so people wanna know and wanna hear, and you're coming in from a different perspective. Oh, great. And I feel the same way actually about Lizzie Borden. So you see where somehow I know you've done TV specials on it, you did The Curse of Lizzie Borden.
Yeah.
What is your connection to her?
So that's another shocking thing too. So yeah, I did it like Curse of Lizzie Borden shot back with Dave Schrader and Chris Fleming, and that was absolutely amazing, but also absolutely terrifying to do that. My mother, who is kind of like an amateur genealogist, she was doing our family lineage while I was writing books. So I've written books on Lizzie Borden, on Salem for many years before I found that I was related to some of the players. And some other, there's a person that's like she kind of found out that we were related to was her name is Innocent Cornell Borden. And this is our connector to a lot of the people that we're talking about, like Lizzie Borden is one of our connectors, family connectors. So Innocent Cornell Borden is the one that connects us all to these people like Lizzie, like the Putnam family, like Eileen Warnos, which was shocking. We found that out as well. And then also Marilyn Monroe is something that I've always been connected to her, and I didn't necessarily know that we're related to her too.
That's amazing. Well, that's how the universe works. That's how spirit works. There's a reason that you're attracted to all this stuff and drawn to it. I think that so Marilyn, okay, you're a royalty, dude. This is awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's
Marilyn. That's good. So
well,
what mhm.
yeah, with Marilyn specifically, that was through it's called forensic DNA. So she didn't know who her father was. So that was something that we thought that she was related, like not necessarily to us, but just thought we were trying to find out who her father was. So using forensic DNA, we're able to pinpoint that her father was Charles Gifford, who was connecting her Marilyn or Laura Jean to our family lineage.
That is amazing. It's what they do with DNA now. It's amazing. Just see what the future will bring. So how much again, you are a prolific investigator and a researcher and as well the author. And now that you admit to being clairvoyant, what is your technique? How much do you use your gift when you're going into locations and stuff? Like say even like the Lizzie Borden.
So for the 20 years that I was a journalist, I definitely used my abilities. So I would know things that people are like, how do you know that? And I'd be like, oh, I just know. So I used it all along, even though I did try to, I fought it and I wasn't public with it. Now it's something where I can literally just turn on, turn off. I'll go to a location and once I'm on, things will come through. I will say this, so I identify as a clairvoyant, which is a clear, you can actually see spirits, and I'll see them in my mind's eye, or I'll physically see them sometimes. But then I'll also shift to claircognizance a lot. And to me, that's the safest form of all the clairs because it's not terrifying. Sometimes when you see spirits, it's definitely, it can be scary. Clairaudience is really scary sometimes. You'll get a voice sometimes in your ear, and you're like someone's whispering in your ear, and like that can be a little overwhelming. So, I kind of shift to what I can handle at the time, and I will say when I'm with certain other mediums, that my gifts will shift to their gifts as well. So it'll be complementary to their gifts. So when I'm with you, Patty, like my gifts will shift usually to clairaudient when I'm with you. I'm not sure why I go to clairaudient with you, but that's what happens when I'm with you.
Yeah. That's awesome, and it's funny how much that may be connected. What makes you what's makes you fearful is scary, like hearing versus seeing or seeing versus hearing. How we're all gonna be different, and I think that actually is relating to your past lives. That's
Yeah.
what I think strongly. So why you're afraid of one gift over the other gift. So, but I do that too. Like all of a sudden, if we're together, I'm gonna tap into you. We're gonna make 1 + 1 = 3 kind of thing. It's good tapping into that energy. So what is the most what is the most amazing place that you've investigated? It could be amazing good, amazing bad, amazing spooky, amazing life-changing.
So for me, like recently, I went to a place called Broadhead Manor, and I think that you've been there as well. There was something about that location that really uh, moved me on a really deep level. I think that's the Native American energies on the property. So I Broadhead. It's in Wisconsin. So my parents divorced when I was a kid. So my dad and their family were in Chicago, and my mom was in Florida. So my little brother came up to visit me at Broadhead, so that made it special. Like seeing his meeting his new wife and like seeing his children, that was beautiful. But then there's also the spiritual energy there that was just awesome. So we did like an honoring ceremony outside of Broadhead Manor with Native Americans, and as we were doing it, they were playing like a drum while we were outside. And these dragonflies literally started kind of like dancing around us. And that experience was just such a beautiful, sublime experience that to me was super special. So I'm going back for the Paranormal Lockdown, which is coming up in July. And I just can't wait to go back to Bloodhead Manor.
Yeah, I love Broadhead Manor too, the whole place, how it's run, everybody, so that is great. Yeah, I've been there a couple times, so what is there something on your bucket list you haven't been to yet that you wanna see?
So Queen Mary and I do want to do like my California trip, and I would love to see you just come out to California because every time I want to go either California or New Orleans, something happens. So it's almost like my spirit guides are kind of like protecting me from going to these locations. But the Queen Mary, I did visit Queen Mary like years ago, but not paranormally. Like I went as was going on a even while I walked outside, went on a tour, and did I pick up things? Yes, but at the time I wasn't accepting of my abilities. But I would love to go back as an investigator.
Yeah, it is a good place to go. I'll take you there, I'll keep you safe, but I grew up there, that's exactly where I grew up. So literally, my high school prom was on the Queen Mary. You go to
Wow.
weddings on the Queen Mary, you go to college dance, and I literally remember sneaking off in high school to the pool. It was easier to sneak way back then, and saw the little spirit. I just, like, less than a month ago, spent the night in the most haunted room 3, whatever that is. So yeah, that's one of my favorite haunted places too, because it's so charged. It's got happy spirits, and then it's got the wartime spirits, and then it's still sitting on water. It's got so much. But New Orleans too. New Orleans, 2 magical cities, both very different feelings. So we'll get you there.
So, yeah, what's interesting about New Orleans, I was actually supposed to be in New Orleans during Halloween, and I signed up for your doing, I guess, raising a bell with Bloody Mary, and I was actually signed up for that, but I could I but there was some scheduling issue where I wasn't able to fly in, and so I missed that. So I was like, "Darn, I missed my special time with Patti and Bloody Mary."
So fun. It would it because we're there every Halloween for the vampire ball. We have like 5 days of events. We take over the Hard Rock. It's really fun and really magical. I literally flew in that day with suitcases all and went straight to Bloody Mary's there before I went on to it. It was great. We did this beautiful ceremony mixing her kind of magic and my kind of magic, and a blessing and blessing of people and animals. And right as we stopped, it started pouring. But it was awesome. Yes, so, yeah, you gotta go see Mary and all that. Well, come this Halloween.
And that's the plan, and it's weird, I was supposed to so I couldn't go for Halloween, and then I was gonna go back a couple of weeks ago, and then there was a snowstorm, in New Orleans of all places, like there was like several inches of snow in New Orleans. I'm like, who would have thought that it was going to snow in New Orleans?
I
So
know.
things just keep happening, and I'm just like, okay, like I will be there, and I will. I mean, my goal is to go back at Halloween, so like I would love to go and see you there this coming up year.
Good. Yes, because then we can see each other, and we have all sorts of fun things you can come and join us with. I usually do a seance at the Hard Rock, and we have little parties and big parties and just hang out, and it's really fun. And then it's yeah, introduce you to the river. There's a way to go into New Orleans, and luckily I was shown that way. You go and you introduce yourself to the city. Literally, you introduce yourself to the river. It's La Bancha. It's that female spirit of the city, and then she just takes you in. She's just
I
take.
I'm actually getting chills thinking about that because I grew up in Pensacola, which is about a few hours away from New Orleans. I would visit New Orleans a lot growing up. It was sort of like my go-to place. And I was always when I would go to New Orleans, I would always as a young man, I was always overwhelmed by the energy there. And knowing that it's almost like that was kind of tapped into my ear. Like I was always I mean, I could feel things, I could see things, and I just couldn't accept that that was going on. And I remember there was one time I went way before Katrina, and I can just feel the energy there before Katrina, and to the point where it was like overwhelming. I had to leave. So knowing that you have to go to New Orleans with like introduce yourself and almost like like say, hey, I'm here. It kind of introduce yourself to the river. I walk, and that makes complete sense because I
Uh-huh.
was hearing like hearing the river in my ear, like talk to the river.
And that's where the magic is just flowing through. Plus, there's water under the ground there. Yeah, this last time, me and my girlfriend Yvonne got brave. We zip lined over the swamp. It was really scary. And then you did the first one, and then you want to chicken out, and then you can't chicken out because you're in the middle of the swamp. It's like, and but I like to compare. So yes, get you there. I'll get you on a zip line. I'll get you. So, so what do you think paranormal investigation these days? It's getting more and more technical and more this equipment people are coming up with is just amazing. And yet also more and more people, clairvoyants and mediums are being involved in it. So what do you think about the future of this our little community is?
I'm super optimistic. I mean, I run a group called Spirit Squad, and my group of mediums of di- different skill sets. So they all have different gifts that they bring to Spirit Squad, and we investigate. I have to say that we investigate different than the traditional, like the people with the different devices that go in. So I like going into location as a medium and use other mediums to validate what we're picking up. So to me, like that's connecting with spirit versus using a like a spirit box to get a voice come through. So I do like the validation of the equipment, but I also feel like that certain things to me feel more connected with the Estes method. I love using the Estes method because I feel like I'm able to connect. I also use seances at investigations now. And I actually got that from you, Patty, because I felt like seance to me, especially when after doing the seance for the Curse of Lizzie Borden, and seeing the power of that, and seeing like how you can lift the veil and communicate with, like, invite the spirits in, and also set a boundary where they can't take you over, which they do sometimes.
But right, but you got an extra protection there. It's good. I love that you do that, and I'm just like you. I'd rather connect in, but I like the validation because what I say is like I could be saying, okay, there's a ghost doing jumping jacks on the table. You believe me or you don't believe me. Now there's somebody in the other room with the SLS camera with a ghost and green sick person doing jumping jacks that we're not hearing each other. So, but I'd rather connect in too. But I love the combining. And speaking of your spirit squad, you have some beautiful techniques, I know. So tell people about some of your protection techniques, whether anybody is out there is wants to get into this world, because people, it's not going to go away. There's more. So tell everybody about your magical technique.
So I do what's called the crystal shield of protection, and so the crystal shield of protection is I basically do it's a Reiki chant, so it's Ura Shokrio, Ura Shokrio, Ura Shokrio, Shakare, 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 Sahiki, Sahiki, Sahiki. And then I say protection, 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 communication, 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 zonar, zonar, zonar. And it's really important for me when I do this. So you also do a crystal shield. So instead of doing just like a regular shield, I'll go white light shield, which will block everything out. The crystal shield will let the good come through. Uh, and for me, that works. And the only problem is I've done it before. I did a seance in Winchendon, of all places, which is it was a small church in like upper Massachusetts. And I didn't actually put the crystal shield beneath my feet. So while I was doing the seance or the seance as I call it, something came from below. So when you're doing the crystal shield, make sure you do a full bubble around you, also beneath your feet as well. So you can get attacked if you don't have that shield up. Uh, uh, it will get you this way, but it also will get you beneath your feet as well.
Right. That's good. Yeah. We all have, and your techniques are beautiful. I've experienced it. I've seen you do it and it works and it's great. Everybody's going to develop their own different techniques, borrow from all of us because that's what we do. We teach. But do something. But work within your belief system, work within something to go out there because it can be spooky. Have you had a like really spooky, like get into trouble kind of thing?
Oh yeah. I mean, like, so so I've had really great experiences with seances. It's to me, it's sort of a toned down seance in the sense that, um, the goal really is to tap into the abilities of the people at the table. So when we're going there, we let them out. It's a controlled environment, which I learned from you because I was kind of being hijacked by the spirit in the past. And I'm like, you gotta set boundaries. Like, listen, you have to sit right next to me. You can't take me over. Um, but what happened at the incident, it was like it came, whatever it was, and it was elemental, and the elemental still listen. They're just like, we're gonna do whatever we want to do. It came through the ground, through my feet, lifted me up almost like a tree. I was like this, like lifting up. I was thrown to the ground like a rag doll, and I was kind of pushed to the ground. So that was my big like, uh-oh,
Right?
Yeah, and it hurt. It really hurt, like being slammed to the ground. But I felt like that whatever it was elemental in nature. The other mediums of the room said it looked like a Groot almost. Uh, and I looked like I was being lifted up like a tree monster was behind me. Like that's what people said it looked like. And what's interesting, we were recording. We had two cameras on the Samods while this was going on, and it did it stopped recording, like, right when we were like, this was happening. And even the audio recorder, it went off as well. So to me, that's validation that it was something really was going on. But also it was, as I knocked my Galaxy rods. And it's still,
Oh,
I think it was trying to show me that it was trying to show me that something was, it kind of showed me something. And I think what looking back at that, it was like respect the land. There was that conversation after being lifted up and thrown on the ground like a rag doll. With the local, there was two people that were part of the Micmac tribe that were part of that area. So we had a conversation about what happened, and it was actually ended up being a very beautiful night, even though it was terrifying being lifted up. Like it led to a conversation with two members of the Micmac tribe talking about their people and what happened on that land. There was a massacre on that land.
mm, wow. Well, that what I did, how all this, the fear is that I changed my perspective about fear, because
Right.
being fear, can freeze you in your tracks and make you not live the life you want to live and not go on that investigation or not make that phone call to your parents. Or fear is $1 million industry that we are both in. We people pay money to get scared. You pay money to ride a roller coaster. So just flip the like, oh, get excited about being scared because that versus freezing you in your tracks. As soon as I flip my perception, now I love to get scared.
Yeah, so and I actually wrote a book. It's called Fueled by Fear. What that was something. So when I would do these television shows, like they loved me because I was so afraid. So these darker entities would feed off of my fear. And So they would get like, "This is amazing. We're getting so much activity," and I'm like, "Because I'm like this generator of fear." And
I love that. So we both
yeah,
your thing. I That's awesome.
yeah, and then so what I learned though is to go in not to be afraid, like you said, embrace the fear, and that we're not feeding them. So what's happened is I'm in control, and I wasn't in control before. So I was getting hijacked by entities, I was getting it scratched, I was getting punched, and now I'm able to be in control. Even that, I do get into terrifying situations, but I'm in control. Like I don't let these things terrify me like they did before.
Yeah, good. Me too. Of course we get scared. I'm the queen of a jump scare. Give me a fake haunted house and I'm more scared than a real one. Like, hear the chainsaw. It's like, oh, so what's coming up for you? Do you have as far as projects or anything?
Yes, I'm actually working on this amazing anthology. It's called Haunted Travels Anthology. And so this is, I reached out to people in the community, whether they're prolific writers, whether they've been published multiple times, or new writers. And it's kind of stemmed from my other groups. I run a group called Spirit Squad, but I also run a group of writers called Ghost Writers. And so the Ghost Writers group, they came up with this idea of doing an anthology. And so we are in the process of we got all our submissions and we're in the process of publishing it. So that should be coming out during the summer. So Haunted Travels Anthology, we have locations from all over the country. We have New Orleans in the anthology. We have Alcatraz in California. We have all these great locations that are going to be featured in this new book.
Good. Oh, I can't wait. That is great. So, okay, before we go, tell people they're going to love you like I love you. Tell people where they can find you, both online and websites and social media, and any upcoming events that you have that people can come see you live and nationwide.
So if you want to see me, go to sambaltrusis.com to know what my upcoming events are. And Patty, I'm hoping that you and I have events coming up in the future because we tend to always bump into each other when we need each other. Uh, yeah,
100%. And it looks
yeah,
like right now we're like at opposite ones. So I'm going to do something about that.
we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah. Well, okay. So soundbaltrusis.com. And what's some of the events you have coming up?
So I have it's called the Shadows of Savannah. That's going to be the first Paracon in Savannah. That's coming up at the end of February, and that's a new event. I have Paranormal Lockdown at Broadhead Manor. That's in July. There's a great events coming up in Augusta, Maine, and I think that you can come out to that one, Patty.
Yes.
And
Again.
September 6th and 7th, and that is kind of like upper Maine, so it's right about Portland, Maine. And that's going to be amazing. There's going to be a wonderful lineup of John Zalphis is going to be there, and John Tenney. Oh, no, sorry, not John Tenney. I'm going to be there, and hopefully you're going to be there too.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you. Check out his books. Your books you can get everywhere. Amazon.
Yeah, so the books are available on Amazon. My most recent goes to Sleepy Hollow, Haunted the Headless Horseman. They're all the bookstores in Sleepy Hollow. So if you visit Sleepy Hollow, you can definitely get a copy. Salem is another great location to get my books too. All the little witch shops in Salem carry my book goes to Salem.
Beautiful. So you guys check it out. You're gonna totally love Sam the way I love Sam. And I will see you very, very soon. And thank you for bringing your magic to the witching hour.